We're here today to experiment with and discover and talk about the Welch Tuning System. Obviously, the whole concept of this is that it's all tunable with a knob. It's free floating, it's evenly tensioned on the top and the bottom, and it has a massive tuning range because you don't have tension rods. The shells themselves don't have 40 lug holes drilled in them, so they naturally sing really well. There's a lot of spaces on these shells that sound good, more so than most shells. And the concept is easy tuning, tune on the fly, tune in between songs, tune to the song, experiment while you play with the tuning of things. The whole point of this shoot is to kind of show people, unless you hate it, because I want organic reactions today. Unless you just that's for you. But it's to kind of like show people that like serious people in the Colorado scene with different backgrounds can find something useful in the kit, think this and that about the kit, whatever your honest opinions are and everything. And I wanted to get some like completely different perspectives. We have someone who published a book, right? We have someone who records every single day under microphones and is visible doing it. And we've got another manufacturer here in Colorado who's a drummer and also knows a lot about the kind of like work that goes into designing this kind of stuff and what's cool and what's not. And then Al is my kind of like go-to gigs every single day, smoking hot jazz player. And so he's going to have a lot to say about it from kind of a melodic perspective, I guess. And then Colin there is probably going to chip in his 2 cents. He's never seen the kit before.
My name's Alejandro Castaño. I'm a freelance musician, drummer, educator in the Denver, Colorado area. Yeah, most of my time is spent playing gigs and playing different concerts and with different groups and musicians, and do a lot of teaching as well. And happy to be here. The best things I like about the Welch Tuning System kit is that right when you start playing it, it just sounds good at any tuning, which is crazy. Because I feel like a lot of drums, most drums, they want to be a particular pitch, you know? So when I'm playing a kit, I want to try to find the sweet spot of the tom or in the floor tom. The cool thing about this kit is kind of any tuning, it sounds good. When you sit down, regardless of where it's at, the shells and everything sound really great. So it depends really on what style or what you want it to sound like, and that kind of determines where you want to tune it, which is cool because usually I'm trying to find what the drum set wants to be at, but it's cool that you can do a lot of different things. Especially this kit, I mean, it's an 18-inch bass drum and it sounds so fat, you can play funk on it and then tune it up really fast and you can be playing a jazz gig. So I think that's the best part that I like about it, A lot of gigs you end up playing all kinds of styles of music on the same gig. So a lot of times I'm playing maybe a jazz gig, but there's a bunch of funky tunes in there. And so it would be nice that in between songs, you could switch, we're playing a funk song. You can make everything lower, fatter, and then play, like a really deep funk groove. And then back to, then if you're playing straight ahead jazz, you can turn it up and switch it out. And also, like I was playing before, you can use it to be soloistic in the song as well, which is very cool.
my name's Taylor Friesth. Mainly I'm a freelance drummer out of Denver, Colorado. Mainly I play with Gorilla Fanfare, which is a brass band. I fill in with some cover bands, some Latin bands out of the same area. I also teach private drum lessons as well, and I wrote a book called the Sly Hat. So when I'm doing this country band gigs, I'm actually tuning my drums down. So it's nice to not have to tune each individual lug when you are going to tune down your entire drum set. So all you have to do is just twist that knob, and that makes things a lot easier on you, of course. So from a teaching standpoint, not every student is the same kind of player. So you have your jazz students, and usually with a jazz drum set setup tuning, they are tuned higher. That's just the way it's been. So with this, I could switch from lesson to lesson the tuning system that I want, so I can tune up my drum kit if I know I'm going to have a jazz lesson the next lesson, or maybe my next drummer, I don't know, he likes a singer-songwriter kind of drum set sound, so he'll tune the system down, or I can tune the system down when I know that he's going to come in, so maybe he feels more comfortable playing on that kind of set. So I've never thought about that. Like the new sounds that are coming out of production lately, like if you've listened to Louis Del Mar, if you listen to Jordan Rocky, any of those people, they're doing a lot of cool things where not every song sounds the same from the standpoint of the drum set. They're using all different sounds out of just the drum set, but you can tell it's a natural drum set and not an electronic thing. But that's interesting too. If you're seeing a show live, the drum set's always going to sound the same from song to song, because he's not going to retune the drum set to get it the way he wants it to sound in between each song. But if you have this system, you have the ability to just completely tune it down or up, you can switch the entire sound of the drum set from song to song. I dig it.
My name is Tristan Kelley, and I am an online content creator. For the past 1,900 plus days, have posted a new beats every day onto Instagram under the hashtag beat a day. So yeah, sitting down, kind of the first thing that goes through my mind anytime I sit down at a new kit is basically how quick can I get comfortable, I guess. How quick can I get to my go-to licks, my go-to feel. You know, sometimes you sit down and you hit a tom and you know, I'm never gonna play this tom again for the rest of the set because it's just out of tune, it doesn't fit right, whatever. And so today I was really surprised how quickly I came into that comfort level, and also when I wasn't in that comfort level, how quick it was to just twist a knob and get to it. You know, kind of first thing I did was like, I'm into low tuned growly snares right now, so just 10 seconds of turning the knob and I was down as low as it could go, and then just slowly turn it up from there until I kind of found a sweet spot of where I like my snare drum. Yeah, so using this kit in a recording situation, the first thing that comes to mind is I've had plenty of times recording a track at home for someone, and you know, maybe you get to that verse and it's just this, you know, floor tom kind of groove thing, and maybe you don't catch it right away, but you go back and listen and you're like, oh wow, this song is in the key of G and this floor tom is a B flat, and now this whole take is ruined, like everything's not jiving. I think in the past, you know, I've had to spend, well, let me get this tom off the stand, let me get out my tune bar, my whatever, tune it up, get it dialed in, get it back on, track again a little bit and see if it's right. Here, if you have that issue, yeah, it's literally 10 seconds of just tuning the drum up or down and getting it dialed in and moving on.
I'm Jeremy Brieske. I am one of the co-founders of Lowboy Custom Beaters. We're a bass drum beater company here in Denver. I was really impressed with how they sounded, how they felt. I mean, it's amazing that you can sit there and, you know, while you're in the middle of you know, just kind of messing around, you can literally completely change the tuning and the sound of the drums. And the way that the design is it's so seamless that, you know, you don't need an owner's manual, you don't need someone to tell you how to do it other than just turn this knob up and down, and it's like so natural. You just sit there and you can turn it up and down, and all of a sudden, you know, your toms are going from like, you know, this Max Roach kind of a tone all the way to a bottom kind of a tone in just, you know, just a few seconds. It's really cool. Obviously, the main problem that they're solving is that they make it foolproof for anyone to come in and tune a drum, right, in a matter of seconds. But they also look really cool, and they look different than anything else that's out there, but it's also kind of a familiar design, right? The way that the wires wrap around the drum, I mean, it's very reminiscent of, you know, like rope tension marching drums. So I think most drummers can look at that and be like, wow, this is an old design, but refreshed for, you know, for today's age, and it doesn't look out of place. You know, you see it, it's like, that makes sense. And you know, the fact that there's no hardware mounted on the drums also makes it sound better, I think. You know, it makes the shells resonate. So what you've got is, you know, sort of this triple play here in the design, where you've got the tunability, you've got the amazing looks, and then you've got a great sound. And, you know, all together, like, that's what I think creates a, you know, a successful product.
Alec Simpson, and I'm the owner of Rupp Drums here in Denver, Colorado. So the immediate problem that these drums address is the difficulty that is inherent in tuning drums. With the Welch Tuning System, it takes that entire conversation off the table, and then suddenly your entire drum set sounds great at almost any tuning within a massive spectrum, and makes it very simple to accomplish that. With the turn of a knob, within seconds, your kit sounds phenomenal. A substantial amount of hardware has been removed from the drums, so you don't have anything prohibiting resonance within the shells. And as a result of all that, the range is huge. The 18-inch kick drum will sound like a 22 in a heartbeat, or it'll sound like a Bop 18-inch kick. The tonal possibilities are limitless and effortless, absolutely effortless. It takes seconds to get from, here to there. And the results of that system, combined with having less hardware and less holes in the shells, creates a very pure, super versatile, and fast tuning system. The drums have won me over, the system's won me over. It's easy, it's practical. The kits that he's making now sound fantastic. It's a revolutionary idea, and we're very proud at Rupp Drums to be the first ever national retailer to actually carry and offer the Welch Tuning System drums for the public.
Hey, I'm Colin Bricker. I'm owner here at Mighty Fine Productions Recording Studio. I've been being an engineer professionally since maybe 1993. I threw some microphones on this thing and turned it up, and it sounded great right out of the gate. All these different drummers have been playing, different styles. And it's working for all of those different things, which is really impressive. So I've been really enjoying hearing it. So a product like this seems like it would be a slam dunk for just, people who are on the search for a good sound. Man, they really sound great right out of the box.
What was your favorite part about the kit today? What really stood out to you?
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me was probably the tuning range. Right now, for a little over a year, my go-to setup has been really big, like 18-inch floor tom. Here, we have a 14-inch floor tom. So at first was a little like, or how am I going to find my bearings? Like, what am I going to do? All the stuff I've been playing for the past year is probably going to not apply here because I can't get this floor tom low enough. But 4 or 5 cranks, and it was low and beefy and had more presence than most 14-inch floor toms I've ever played. Yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
There's just a lot of sweet spots like in the kit. So, a lot of times the kit will sound like a certain way, like that, those drums like react in a certain way. But it's very cool that you can get like a mid-range, or you can get a high or low kind of pitch out of it, and there's a sweet spot there, and there's a sweet spot here and there. So that's what's very cool about it. So I can see how it can be very applicable on a gig. When you're playing like a straight ahead jazz thing, and then you play a funk gig and you can switch it, or funk song and you can switch it down. And so I think it would be cool on the fly, and very actually solistically you can mess with it on the fly too, and which is very cool. So no, I really enjoy playing it.
And genre hopping for sure, because there have been times where I'm going from like a brass band gig where I told you I have my high tom tuned a lot higher than it usually is, so I can like imitate that timbali sound. But then in the same day, I'll be going to like a country gig that I'm just filling in for. I'm not going to use that same, like, there are no timbales in country music as far as I've heard. So you could just like crank that down.
You just want to show up to your gig or to the studio and you want it to sound good, right? I mean, that's, to me, I mean, it's the simplicity of this, which is so good. Where you show up, you know, you go down, you bring it up until it's perfect, and then like, there you go.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, there's a reason why there's the tune bot and the drum dial and all of these things, because like, I mean, like 99% of drummers aren't good at tuning their drums.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like
and they'll admit it too.
For sure, yeah. Like, no, I mean, I'm not good at tuning my drums, you know, like, seriously. Make it even easier, right, for someone to just show up at their gig and like, boom, this is it. It's ready to go.
And even for people like me who feel like they do have a grasp on tuning drums, it's still nice not to have to worry about it just once. I'd really like to know, from a sound perspective, what you guys think, because that's honestly, that was the selling point for me. This system could have worked perfectly on a kit that did not sound good, and I would not have it in the store right now. But because of the fact that anywhere I put it in the store and at any place that it's tuned, it's going to sound good, it's like a guaranteed reaction from the customer. So to me, the kit has been shocking as far as like how it sounds, but I'm interested because you guys all play different kits, you play different styles, you know, different backgrounds. How do you feel about the way that the drums respond and how they sound and everything specifically?
I think everybody's immediate reaction was major surprise from the kick drum sound out front.
It was the
Especially the kick drum.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely sounds like a 22.
Yeah,
If you brought
man.
us in here blindfolded, be like, that is serious.
That's the next video.
That's the next one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the next one. Yeah, I mean, like, it gets you in the chest for sure for 18.
Yeah.
It's impressive. And you know, I mean, as you've mentioned many times today, I mean, the fact that there's not all of these holes drilled in that shell.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the fact that there's not all of this metal and plastic and rubber mounted to it. I mean, there's no way that it wouldn't resonate more. Like, it has to.
That has to be what it is, man.
I mean, it's hard to find a kit that doesn't have a bunch, would you say 40 less holes or something? You know?
Well, if you assume there's 10 on top and 10 on bottom, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
2 holes per lug, that's usually like the snare drum and sometimes the kick drum or something.
But I'm saying
Up
just to
40.
have like a piece of wood that's solid like that, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I think allows it to have so many sweet spots in the range. It's cool.
Without getting too geeky and like too into this, because we only have a few minutes, but there's something called a nodal point in shells, which is in between
in
the top and
vibration,
bottom
yeah.
lugs. It's that strip right in the middle of the drum where the drum tends to resonate better. If you're like putting it under a mic and you're measuring the frequencies and everything, that's where it sounds the best because it's the only part that's unmolested by hardware. Hardware chokes out every couple inches on the drum, right? So it's the only part of the drum usually ringing. With the shell that is ringing from top to bottom, that I think is the only explanation for why this sounds so big, why it has the tuning range that it has, and why it resonates like it does. Because typically, going back to our conversation about how I am not the biggest fan of maple drums, and this kit kind of won me over, I think that's why. It's because it allows whatever wood it is. I mean, this could be made out of like baminga or walnut or birch or something, and it would still sound extraordinary for that wood, even, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the reason.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Because everybody is looking for versatility. Like every single major band right now is blending genres, right? Hip hop is blending with jazz, and jazz is blending with rock, and all this funk fusion stuff. And you have bands like Snarky Puppy covering a massive range of styles. And there's not a whole lot of, I mean, there is, but like the people coming in to buy kits right now are concerned about versatility and what tuning range the kick drum has. And they cost a lot of money. Am I going to get my money's worth if I'm playing this kind of a gig versus this kind of a gig? This is literally the only 18 I've heard in person that will sound as large as a 22, legitimately, and be cranked up to the 18. So it's the most versatile 18-inch kick drum I've ever.
And the same with the floor tom. I mean, you know, Tristan was talking about how 18 is what you usually play, right?
Right.
And I mean,
I play 18 like 3-ply.
Yeah.
Like as just low and growly as you
And
can
you
get.
tune this 14-inch down pretty low, and I mean,
Yeah.
it sounded really
Yeah,
good.
it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it did the trick exactly.
In your personal situation, if someone else out there is recording videos of themselves on a daily basis, if someone else out there is playing a different club every night, sometimes on different drums every night and teaching, if somebody out there is teaching and like diving into their technique and what they're hearing from their drums, or if somebody's engineering a new product, I want to hear those one-off from your perspective sort of stories one last time, like 30 seconds per person. Go. Okay. No. Doesn't happen that fast.
Another big thing is just like we're talking about, just tuning differently. It just makes you play differently, hear things differently. But since I'm recording every day, I only have so much time to do things. And so to invest that time to kind of deconstruct my kit and retune it and re-dial it into whatever feel tuning range I'm going for is just something I don't have a lot of time to do.
Yeah.
So to be able to sit down at a kit and be like, oh, I'm just not feeling super inspired in this genre, in this feel, to be able to spend 2 minutes and just tune a few knobs and be in a whole other world musically, would be great.
Makes perfect sense. It removes the obstacle of having to take 20 minutes to create a new sound to get inspired by.
Right.
Yeah. Al?
I mean, I think what would be very cool about having this kit is, like you're saying, the versatility. Like I play so many gigs where it's, all right, it's a straight ahead jazz gig. And then, someone calls a funk tune. And then, I have my kit tuned where it can be very like mid-rangey. But it'd be nice to just crank a couple knobs and now it's a funk kit, And then you're back to playing bebop or something and you can crank it up. So you can sound like authentic in all the different styles.
Sure.
And, I think that would be the coolest thing. I play, most of my gigs are very changing genres all the time, It's like, oh, we're playing a dance gig. Oh, but now, we're playing this kind of tune or whatever, Latin tune. So it'd be nice to switch it up kind of on the fly,
Sure.
In between songs, it takes like 15 or 20 seconds to turn a couple knobs and then you're, at a whole different kind of tuning. So I think that would be the coolest,
Awesome.
coolest thing.
Yeah.
To Laura?
I mean, as far as finding your sound, this can be super important too, because a lot of drummers, like their technical ability and their approach to the drum set is what makes them sound the way they do, but also tuning is a part of that. Even if tuning is like 10% of that, it's a part of it.
Yeah.
So you can mess around with your tuning system so much faster.
Yeah.
That way, like I said earlier, you're not hopping around the kit, literally running around from the front of the bass drum to the back of the bass drum to tune it. Like, you can just tune it right there.
That always sucks in a live scenario too.
Yeah.
Like when you're like on stage and like something is horribly wrong with the
Yeah.
resonant side.
Like,
of
sorry,
my
like 2
rack
minutes,
tom,
like.
and you're like standing over the kit like
We've all been sound checking
Yeah,
that
like,
rack
sorry.
tom
For like a
and
minute.
trying to tune at the same time.
Yeah. Jeremy?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, as we've talked about before, I think from a musical instrument design standpoint, it's the fact that this kit does multiple things well and improves on multiple things, over other products. And like, for our beaters, we wanted them to sound better, look better, and feel better than other bass drum beaters on the market. And
Yeah.
What I think Sam has done is created something that solves a problem, which is the tunability of it. Looks really cool and looks unique from other drum sets on the market and sounds really good. So I mean, if you're looking for a new drum set, what else do you want, right?
Yeah, absolutely.